They said it was impossible, that Patrick Mahomes, fresh off ACL and LCL surgery, wouldn't come back to the Kansas City Chiefs and instantly reclaim the NFL. But in 2026, the Buffalo Bills and the entire AFC might be staring at the return of a quarterback on a mission to destroy every prediction made about him.
Correct.
You better believe it.
I mean, for sure. But so the Bills, eh? I mean, what about if Mahomes is back and Mahomes is Mahomes? Right?
To me, I'm looking at Mahomes. I kind of think that he's the favorite in my mind to win MVP this year because, you know, the injury and how much he's had to put into getting healthy this offseason, obviously the level that we've seen him play at. But the last few years,
Mahomes just had surgery for his torn ACL and LCL in December. This is a pretty quick timeline for one of the league's best.
No, I'm not shocked. I mean, you've heard me talk. You know I know Mahomes a little bit. He's a psycho of psychos. I mean, it's all day. It's every day. That's what he is. And you knew he would be on a mission to be back with his team, even in OTAs. Forget training camp. I just know how the guy operates. He wants to be great. He wants to be out there with the guys. Mahomes is everything you want for all the right reasons. And yeah, but I think that's perfectly realistic in 2026. And yeah, not surprised to hear it. And Patrick Mahomes will be on a mission this year. That's for sure. I think the whole Kansas City Chiefs team will be.
I was going to say, Chris, as a quarterback, there's got to be something to just mentally getting your legs back under you out there in an environment that's not just you and one trainer, but you and your actual teammates.
I think it's essential to the growth process to be able to get out there and do it. Even if it's not linemen, just to be able to have I drop back, I'm thinking of coverages, I'm doing that, and I'm just playing football again.
MDS saw it, of all places, as a link that was posted by John McClain, formerly of the Houston Chronicle, still active on Twitter. He's retired now. Longtime NFL reporter, very well respected, close friend of Shereen Williams. They sat elbow to elbow at the Super Bowl every year for many, many years. ESPN had posted on June 18 a story about free agent defensive lineman Mike Pennel. And it was a follow-up to a prior story that arises from the discovery of the remains of a woman who went missing in 2021 on property that Pennel used to own in the Dominican Republic. Apparently, after he sold it, the current owner was doing some excavation work, and they found the remains of the woman who went missing in 2021. When the story first came up, there were some on-the-record quotes from Pennel and his lawyer saying, and this was Pennel or the lawyer, somebody said it. I want to get this right, so I'm going to keep it broad. Somebody said he didn't know her. He did not know the woman whose remains were found on the property. And that becomes a key point because when ESPN did its follow-up on June 18, the headline point was, based on ESPN's reporting, Mike Pennel did know the woman who went missing, which is a huge fact. If somebody shows up on your property after you've moved out and you didn't know them at all, pretty good chance you're not going to get implicated. But if somebody you did know ended up being buried on your property, different vibe to the situation. So ESPN posted that story on June 18. We posted the story based on the reporting from ESPN. There were two names on the byline, can't remember who they are. So what MDS noticed, a story that apparently was posted today, but it carries the original June 18 byline. Not byline, but date stamp, time stamp. No bylines on this one. No bylines. You'll see that from time to time from ESPN. It'll just say ESPN or ESPN News or whatever. It won't use the names of the people. But in the update, ESPN said that the prior story contained errors and has been removed. And it ran a link to a statement from Mike Pennel's lawyer regarding the situation. And in the statement, he reiterates that he didn't know the woman. And there's other facts there that corroborate the idea that he couldn't have even been in the Dominican Republic at the time that the woman went missing. And I just mention all this because it is so rare, which makes it so stunning when it happens, that a news organization, specifically a sports news organization, retracts a story. Now, they didn't call it a retraction. They said updates. And at the time we posted it, there was no link to the update on the ESPN NFL homepage. There was nothing. You scroll all the way down and all the way down to the bottom, nothing. On the ESPN main homepage, not the NFL homepage, but the main homepage, on the right rail, they have a list of stories. Right near the bottom, ESPN update on Mike Pennel, or words to that effect. Now, if you're just a general sports fan logging on to ESPN.com and you see that, it may not register. And I would suspect that plenty of people who are NFL fans bookmark the NFL page, not the home page. And there's no mention on the NFL page, which is just weird. It's just weird. They didn't call it a retraction. That's odd. They have no mention of it on the ESPN NFL page. At least they didn't as of an hour and a half ago when we posted our story, because I checked right before. And what we did, we went back, found the story in our content management system, archived it, it's gone. Tweets deleted. The editorial assistants who do the posting in our other social media platforms deleted. The instruction was given. I assume they've done it by now. Because you don't want AI to find some old story while it's doing the scraping and then boom. No, let's just get rid of it. If ESPN got rid of it, our story was based on the ESPN reporting, we got rid of it too. And we'll see where it goes from here. But somebody put the fear of God into ESPN to get them to do something they rarely do. And as ESPN looked into the situation, they realized somebody screwed up. The story contained errors. So maybe some contracts not getting renewed at some point down the line, or contracts getting terminated sooner rather than later, because chances are there's a for-cause provision in the deal that would allow for the termination of the contract without any further pay. So I assume that people are going to be poking around exactly what happened with that story and what will happen with the reporters. What was the error? How was the error made? How was the error discovered? There's an inside baseball angle to this that we'll be paying attention to. For now, we just wanted to get the word out that to the extent that ESPN created the impression through its reporting that Mike Pennel knew the victim whose remains were found on property he used to own, that is false. That was retracted. That has been rescinded, deleted, expunged.
They said it was impossible that a quarterback coming off ACL and LCL surgery in December 2025 would need time, patience, recovery, maybe even a lost season. But in 2026, the narrative is breaking apart. Because Patrick Mahomes isn't just returning to the NFL. He's returning like a man who heard every doubt and memorized every name that spoke it. And now the Buffalo Bills and the entire AFC might be facing a version of Mahomes built on something more dangerous than talent. This isn't just recovery. This is acceleration. Less than a year removed from major knee reconstruction, and still, the conversation around MVP is already shifting toward Kansas City. And if that prediction holds, the league doesn't stabilize, it fractures. But the real shock isn't just the physical return. It's what people inside the league are saying about his mentality. Insiders describe Mahomes in a way that borders on uncomfortable. Not just driven, not just focused, but relentless in a way that bends recovery itself. Quotes from league voices paint the same picture. He's on it every day, all day. A psycho of psychos when it comes to football. Even during OTAs, long before full contact, he's already operating like the season depends on every rep. This is where the danger begins. Not in the injury, but in the obsession to erase it. Because mentally, he isn't rebuilding. He's reloading. And if that version of Mahomes syncs with timing, rhythm, and mobility again, the AFC doesn't get a comeback story. It gets a warning. But while one story builds toward dominance, Another is collapsing under the weight of a completely different kind of crisis. A separate storm is unfolding off the field, and it's shaking one of the biggest media names in sports. An ESPN report involving defensive lineman Mike Pennel was published, then quietly corrected, then effectively erased. The original claim suggested new details about a missing person case tied to property he once owned. But then came the reversal. Errors in reporting. Story removed. No bylines. No clear explanation. Just disappearance. And in today's media ecosystem, deletion is louder than publication. Because when a story vanishes this quickly, it doesn't just raise questions, it creates suspicion. Was it a mistake in sourcing? A breakdown in verification? Or something deeper inside the editorial chain? And as one narrative collapses in the media world, another one is building toward collision in the NFL itself. On one side, a league questioning its own information systems. On the other, a quarterback redefining what return from injury even means. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs, and an AFC that may be forced to confront a version of him that should not exist this soon after surgery. Because if Mahomes truly is back at full force, then every prediction made in the offseason becomes obsolete in real time. And the question isn't whether he can win again. It's whether anyone in the AFC was ever ready for what comes next. And in a league where one return is rewriting expectations and another story is vanishing in real time, the 2026 season is no longer predictable. It's volatile.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.